Welcome home.
There'll be plenty of this in the coming days. Russia's foreign minister shaking hands in Africa. The message he wants to convey is that Russia has returned to the continent. Sergey Lavrov's Africa tour takes him to 5 countries in 5 days. Angola on Monday. Then it's off to Namibia for Tuesday. Wednesday it's Mozambique, neighbouring Zimbabwe on Thursday. Finally, on Friday, he's due to head north to Ethiopia in the Horn of Africa. Russia's interest in Africa has been building for a while. President Vladimir Putin and Prime Minister Dmitry Medvedev have visited in recent years. The diplomatic push carries faint echoes of former times, when the USSR contested Western influence by supporting Marxist guerrillas fighting against colonial rulers, such as in Mozambique. But when the Soviet Union dissolved, so too did Russia's influence far from home. Lavrov's Africa tour coincides with a similar visit by US State Secretary Rex Tillerson. They'll overlap in Ethiopia, and Russia's foreign ministry has suggested a meeting there. EVGENIY KORENDYASOV was a Soviet and Russian ambassador in Africa. He thinks the continent is increasingly interesting for many global powers.
This is a very important period in the history of Africa and international relations. African influence in world politics and economics is growing. In the past 15 years, African GDP has doubled. Without Africa, none of the global issues of our century can be solved.
Russia's trade with Africa is growing. It was $14.5 billion in 2016, but that's dwarfed by the EU's Africa trade, which amounts to $33 billion. That's beaten by the USA's, with $49 billion in trade. But the country that's developed the highest spending relationship with Africa is China, on $149 billion. Russia no longer has the ideology with which to woo developing countries like it could with Soviet socialism. But Moscow is trying to make up for lost time with Africa. It's hoping that trade, defence, natural resources and energy can win back some of the partners it lost when its Soviet superpower status collapsed. Rory, Challands, Al Jazeera, Moscow.